Hey, good morning, everyone. Dave Wilson of the Ring and Hire Show. Hey, got a great show today. I got a great co-host, Kara Fonseca. I got Fonseca, close enough, right? Hey,
Yeah.
listen, today, close. We're going to talk about candidate engagement, and we'll be right back after this. You gotta love that video, don't you? I
Love it. Dancing.
$17. That's all it cost me, and having that on there. Hey, good morning, everyone. I have a great guest here today, Kara, and we're going to talk about candidate experience. Let me tell you, when I always scroll through LinkedIn to see who I'd like to have on my show, and I was going through it, and then I became upon your profile. I'll tell you what, for somebody that has a passion for a candidate side and all the problems and things that you face trying to find a job, this person here, when you connect with her, I'm telling you, it's like 20 things on her LinkedIn page. But Kara, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm by work process improvement specialist. My company is currently going through layoffs. So, hey Matthew, I started looking for positions and started realizing the job application process is way different than it was 10 years ago when I was back in the market. So I started, realizing the problems and wanting to point it out and suggest improvements.
That's not the key. Hey, Matthew, if you know this young lady, I'll tell you, I'm going to go over some things here that's I find them funny, but I relate to them all. And the first one, I love it. You were saying on the one post, I don't know SAP, I don't know Rally, I don't know Salesforce, but I've learned quite a few software tools that were available at my company, and I'm capable of learning others. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what job you start, you're going to have to learn some software. Everybody has different pieces. So I just think it's kind of a silly requirement to know exactly what that company has when everybody has the ability to learn. You're really kind of discounting a lot of amazing candidates because maybe they know Jira instead of Rally or Visio instead of Project. So it's to me lack of understanding of who would actually thrive in the job, not just what do they know.
And that I cannot agree with more. A lot of candidates have told me, well, I don't know this, I don't know that. But I've told companies, and discussing is you're going to miss out on a good candidate. And if you're going to rely on one or two words. Now, again, I told you before, I feel that you need some of the keywords and software, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't give the person a chance and at least interview them to see what they have to offer.
Right. I mean, if they know similar software, but the people that are looking and trying to match people up, they're just trying to look for the same word on both sides. That's, not everybody knows really what they're asking for and what the person has to offer. And so a lot of people get overlooked. And that's very disappointing.
We have Matthew saying the main question a recruiter should ask, can you do the work in a timely manner at a high quality?
Exactly. Timely and accurate was a motto we had at one group that I worked with. It's all about, can you produce the results that the company needs? Not have you done exactly the same job using exactly the same tools. Otherwise, I won't look at you. That's what I was trying to talk about in the post yesterday. It was just like you have a job description that's a list of requirements and job responsibilities, and you have a resume that's results oriented. How can you match the two without using some critical thinking skills?
That's when you put on
can't
there.
Just use keywords.
No, and that's what I like how you said about candidates with strong cognitive ability, willingness to learn. And you said you will find self-starters that can be trained on anything. And I look at that all the time because when hiring a person, I don't always look for all of the skills because I'd like to train them. I should say, you can train them the way you want to be trained. Somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, and don't get me wrong, it's not like they shouldn't be hired, but there's some people are set in their ways and are not willing to change. So I always like that midway point personally sometimes, because you can tell the candidate what you're looking for. Are you willing to learn this? And that makes sense on that part.
You want somebody that wants to learn and be challenged, because you're going to move on to different software. You're going to have different processes. If you're just going to pick the person that knows it and that's what they want to do for 20 years, the same thing, that's not a good fit. They're better fit somebody else with somewhere else.
Matthew's full of questions to see if you match the job description 100%, what growth opportunity. I like that. Matthew, thank you. I've never thought of it that way. I'm going to put that up there again. If you match the job 100%, what growth opportunity is there for the employee? I like that.
Exactly.
The next
thing don't want to start over in their life to do exactly the same thing that they're doing now. If you're going after a passive candidate, you've got to, give some growth opportunities. And if you're going after other candidates, you have to see how they could, contribute and grow in the position. Matthew is spot on.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I have a long one here from Marissa Phillips. Do you know Marissa? No?
Oh,
wow.
No.
I have been asked why. Yeah, right. Let's see. I have been asked why on my LinkedIn page and my resume it has 3 months here, 4 months there, 5 months. Even though it clearly stated that these jobs were consulting position, and I have no control when the company project or projects would end. This is the number one thing that recruiters ask that is annoying, and it makes me feel like they don't know how to do their jobs, because if they don't know the difference between full-time and consulting, then they should not be a recruiter. Wow, Marissa, that besides not seeing you up there, that is awesome. I like how she wrote that.
Yeah, well, exactly. So what are they really focused on? I mean, you have 90,000 recruiters in the U.S. Not all of them are really going to understand what they're looking for. They get, the little pieces of information from the hiring manager, or HR, or whoever, and they don't know how to translate it and apply it to somebody like Marissa, who has great work experience.
Right.
It's just a different kind of work.
It's funny that she says this. Marissa, do you work for the same consulting yard? If so, that's one, not several. That I had an example about that when you said is last night I was talking to a colleague, Rob, and he sent me his resume for my review. He says, Dave, what do you think of my resume? And I looked at it. And at first, when I seen 6 different jobs, and he was going to be going to the 3rd job, he said he didn't want to put like 3 pages. So I looked at it, and I did ask him, I said, Rob, did you have consulting contract jobs? He goes, yes, 2 of them. See, I knew to look for that. But some people will look at that and say, oh, he jumps from job to job to job. You need to know the difference. I mean, do you agree on that part?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the nature of work, like Marissa's, is you come in to do a specific project, and then you move to the next project at another company. She's doing exactly what she should be doing. It's no reflection on performance or, lack of commitment.
And I even had a candidate one time. She had like 6 jobs on there, and I was thinking, does she skip? But then as I talked to her, she goes, Dave, I love staffing companies. She says, I can work when I want, do it, spend time with my family. I can leave and go to another job. But again, if you're just looking at that and saying that goes into my no pile, no, you have to reach out, or else you wouldn't have known that. But she loves staffing companies. Makes sense. Oh, hi. She's like, hi. The next one is my favorite. This is my favorite on your whole page.
Oh,
all right, everybody, here we go. Is I met my spouse online. You created a profile. He sent me a message, and the rest is history. Of course, it didn't happen overnight, and I didn't feel the need to change my profile based on who is interested in. I presented who I was, transparent way, and trusted the right person as I am. I had to read it over and over again. Then with job searching, I see a lot of advice on customize your resume for every job post. I'm not going to read more of that, but it just makes common sense. What you just said there, when people change their resumes for each job,
Yeah.
you didn't do that.
Well, if you're already presenting your best side, like on the dating profile, right? The guy says he likes tennis. I'm not going to put that I like tennis, so we match. You know,
Oh, that's
it's
funny.
about who the person is, and like Marissa is saying, and like most job descriptions, it's just like they want XYZ, and if you don't have XYZ, they're not going to contact you. So, but that's not how it should work. I mean, when I have been a hiring manager before, and I read through resumes and I try to read between the lines, like what kind of person would do the things that this person is doing. They sound very dedicated, motivated. They love to train, share knowledge. Who is that? The kind of person that would do great in this job? And think about it that way. But because we have so much automation, and I love automation, but I don't feel like it's a great fit for hiring. It's not there yet. So many people are being missed out and applying for hundreds of jobs, months and months, and that doesn't make any sense to me. There's too many great people out there that are not getting opportunities.
It does. And Matthew, I've worked. Oh, they're talking back and forth, and it's okay, Marissa. Long message. I enjoyed that. That was great.
I think it's good.
Yeah, she's speaking the truth there. But still, what I like about that is, do you change your resume to fit every job? Now, this is my opinion. I say no. Okay. I have one resume. This is myself. I don't need to change it every single time. But again, that's me, because I feel that I'm putting words in there to get noticed, or you're putting those keywords. And again, I understand the keywords, because if you don't have a certain amount, your soft skills, you could have somebody that's just applying that doesn't know what they're doing, just applying for a job to apply. But that just really resonates with me. And I don't know the proper answer for that. I don't.
Well, what I've seen, and I don't wonder if you have seen it too and you agree, but it's like the frequency of the words, right? If they're looking for a change manager, which I do, how many times do I have that? And it ranks you higher, which is, yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I utilize a software for video resume screening, and you do put the keywords in there. You put, like, say, for a forklift driver, naturally forklift, boom. You have all the requirements. Do you need to know Word? No, but it's nice. It does give you somewhat, at least to a 30, 40, 50% match. I know it's nice to get a 70%, yes, but I still follow through with that 30% to 40, because again, they might be missing something that they don't know that's on the resume that should be. Because some people would like, a lot of it is the software. A lot of it is. I mean, everybody has management skills. Everybody has customer service, and if you're in professional services, it's that key position or words of management, what the name title is. Again, name title is great, but as long as there's a match somewhere in there. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I've also seen, like, you have to have exactly the same job title, where it's just like they all do similar things. Why do you have to match exactly on the job title? And Robin from Storyline Resumes, she told me that she had a client who had to reapply for his own job. You know how sometimes they make you do that. And he was a 12% match.
That's funny. Not funny, but that's funny. Here's Matthew. I used to change mine a little bit, but I got tired of it. I found a great site for building my resume, and I'm going to keep playing with it. I am who I am. Talk to me or not, just let me know. Matthew, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's stressful. Like you put in there, how stressful it is. And, you have a passion for that candidate experience. And he said it right there. He's stressful.
It's extremely stressful, and I want to point out, said, let me know. That's a big thing, is you don't get feedback. I'm going to tell you a story of, like, I got a resume redone to give me PDF and Word format, and I was applying with a PDF format. It's nice and clean. And I went back to them. I said, I'm not getting interviews. And she said, well, don't use the PDF. It's not ATS friendly. We're like, but how would you know that? You don't like get any feedback loop. And that, how can you know how to improve? So you tweak it here and there, but you don't know what was good, what was not good.
Again, the story of that is you miss out on candidates. You miss out on the good candidates. Don't ever look them. Wow, Marissa really wrote a good one here. I don't think we'll be able to see each other. Hey, no, I love this. Just enjoy it. Yeah. I was never looking for consulting positions. However, recruiters for full-time jobs would say it seems as though you can't hold on to a job because you're working here for 3 months and there for 4 months. And I cannot hold on to a job when I was not looking for consultant jobs, but I prefer to work than not to work. So I take any job that comes my way. And so I would just tell them, I wish you best of luck finding the right candidates. That, again, she nailed it right there, is if you don't ask for the candidate, if you don't ask the candidate this, you don't give them a chance, you'll never know.
Well, I think they think that, like, they can't bring it and present her in the right way, right? Because they've got to take her back to the recruiter, and the recruiter's going to, or not the recruiter, the hiring manager, and they're going to ask the same question. But if you really understand Marissa and how she works, and that's, people might want a more flexible, and work when they want to. That doesn't discount her and be like, yes, that's there, but Marissa's great at all of these things that you need. Why focus on something so silly?
It is. This next person, I'm going to love saying who this is. All right. Now, James, I can find it to put in words what I did. I struggled. Now, let me tell you a short story about James. He's in the UK. He's over in the UK, right? He came onto my show all the way from the UK, and we were trying to help him find a job. Well, he loved doing different things. And I know, it's another story, but he made brownies with things to send to companies to try to find them. But after all this was said and done, he was so great. He thought outside the box. He rented, there was a big box truck, those big ones. He paid for a magnetic sign or whatever, real huge on the back, to hire him about James, his CV, which is his resume. He made it on the news. Then he was on Fox News, everything, for doing that because he needed a job. And how many people would think to put a CV, a resume on the back of a box truck? Please hire me. It's totally insane. But James, he's going to come on the show again. But think of that.
People who have tried everything. And I feel like sometimes you get to that point, like if you have to market yourself. We were talking about earlier, when you have 10 million people looking for jobs, you can't have a marketing campaign for every one of them and expect to get noticed. But what he's saying, you're not being hired to be a resume writer, but you have to prove your resume writing skills. Is so tough. It's so tough when you're not, used to doing that. It is really hard. I highly recommend, getting, feedback. I don't know if you do any feedback on resumes, David.
I do.
Okay.
I'll give some of the candidates some advice. I've seen enough resumes to where, am I an expert at it? No, but at least you can coach the candidate. You can say, listen, try to maybe move this around, little tweaking, but don't change it all the time. Wow, Marissa really likes to write here. Let's see. Absolutely not. I will not lie on my resume. Just get to a position because I am going to fall if I don't know the job. Fail. Let's see. Well, I was fail, yeah. I have one resume and one resume only that I use for full-time and for consulting, and I refuse to change my resume to suit somebody else's motive. It's very frustrating dealing with recruiters who don't seem to understand. And that, again, that says it right there.
You need to have her on the show next.
My God, this next one is even funny, everybody. Your posts on LinkedIn are hilarious. So, you go on there, you connect with Kara. So you see this video
Yeah,
of her dog. Was that your dog?
that's my dog.
That's your dog. So I didn't know if it was made up. Like, how'd she do that? You had your dog going to the grass was really high, and the dog's running around the grass sniffing and sniffing. And you're going, this is a reenactment of trying to follow up with a recruiter. And they're focused on passive candidates. The dog's running around. You put on a video. Maggie, remember we talked on phone about that job? You said I was a really good candidate, and the dog's still sniffing around. And then you said, I'm over here, over here. I'd like to get some feedback. Maybe. Well, the dog looks up, goes back in the grass, looking over and over. Oh, it's great. And then you wrote on there, is it just me, or do most job descriptions seem to cop? Oh, no, I went off of that. Yeah, if it's just me, or most job descriptions seem to be copy and paste. That was hilarious. What made you do that?
You have to be positive and take the lighter side. It doesn't, make sense. And, you look at so many job descriptions and you're like, it looks like they just took the old one, put whatever that person who previously had the job, was good at, and just slap it together and put it out there. It's just pages and pages of what?
I had to relook at that video. I was like, how did she do that? Because I love videos. I'm like, then I realized, like you said, it was your own dog. But that shows the passion that you have. If recruiters, and not all recruiters are like this, the reason I wanted to have this show with you is because this is some things that's a challenge for candidates that are going through it. So if you're a recruiter, maybe, you could learn something from a lot of different shows that bring up these topics. Because that dog, I love the dog.
Give the recruiter's perspective. How do they even get up to speed on how to think about a candidate and, and prove that they can find good people?
So what were you trying to say in there about, do you remember me, that part there? What were you trying to point out?
Yeah, I was just like, hey, Maggie, we talked. You said I was a great candidate. You wanted me to send my resume, and here you are just sniffing around looking for other things. Instead of, I'm right here. You got a queue of 100 candidates, and you're looking for the one that's already has a job and doesn't want to leave.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious. Well, we have a big one here. Let's see. Nissan, a lot of people here maybe. Isn't it a bit ironic that recruiters strongly advise and advocate for candidates to produce tailored resumes for each position? But the rejection letter, I know where he's going with this.
This is so
the
bad.
rejection letter is a uniform template that doesn't provide any insights as to why you are not selected. Even when the rejection is based on simple technicality like where you live, truth, company not cleared to a process payroll in that state, which can be very easily programmed into the rejection letter. So at least it's not double standards. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. So many things to break down in there. Because I was just talking with you earlier that they have to have a process to apply that process fairly. They get audited. They say they take it very seriously. They put a reason. They have to. How do they know why they passed on somebody? And how hard is it, like he's saying, just put it in the standard rejection email, one line of code, like insert field. And then, you have the job descriptions, which typically don't look like they put a lot of time into it. And here we are spending hours on resumes, custom cover letters that, what good is that doing? You don't even know if it's a real job posting or not.
Right there is the best part. What you said is, like, in high volume for like logistics and all that, it's hard. There's thousands of jobs people just put on there. You need a resume, and you don't. Some companies require it in logistics, and I don't understand why. If it's nothing with entry level jobs, but they don't need. You're not even utilizing it anyway. I would get these resumes. I don't even look at them. I would be like, we need bodies. We need people to come and work. You can interview a person and they might not say, listen, I don't have a resume. That's okay.
Right.
If they don't need it, or I would always tell them, listen, go down to the training center or Google how to make a basic resume, and they didn't know. So I would explain it. But when it comes to the professional side of it, salary positions, you do put a lot of work into it. And I believe if you've spoken with, like if I've spoken with you twice, Kara, about we were talking, we're going to move forward, and you don't hear anything back from me, nothing, and you've already had 2 interviews, something's wrong there. Either the recruiter or somebody doesn't want to have that hard discussion and call you back and say, listen, Kara, we couldn't utilize you. The company didn't choose you. I really don't know why. I felt you were a company, you're a fit, but let's keep in touch. Something like that.
Right. I have never gotten feedback on interview results. I had one where I went through 3 rounds. I think I was one of the last 2. And I got that same standard auto rejection email. I was like, oh.
It leaves a not bad taste in your mouth. I like to say words like that, but it leads you to remember that company. Like,
right.
They could utilize me maybe a year from now. You don't know.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing. Both ways. Don't burn bridges.
Right.
Right. Exactly. It just
How about
shows
when we
the software
upload our
is
resume
up to date
and have to enter the same data into the fields one by one? I understand what you're saying there. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it also shows how good is the software automation that they're using, that they have to put everybody through this. And because I can understand they want you to enter your contact information, make sure they get that, because sometimes resume formatting or whatever, but to re-enter your job responsibilities or all of that kind of stuff, if they say they're looking at every resume, they don't need to ask you to do that.
You're typing it twice and you're missing out. Like Indeed sometimes, a lot of those things, you have to upload your resume and then make an Indeed resume. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can upload it, because if it's in a different format, even CareerBuilder, they need it in the resume in this format for Indeed. So not only do you have to upload it, you think you're done, right? Then you have to make one up. So you have to go back and forth to make sure it's correct, because then you would just apply with the fast option, apply now, quick. Wow, that was fast. There's no thought process, nothing, in that at all. The next part, I like how you said, oh God, I can read through these. There's a lot of them. I only wasted like 4 trees on this. All right. Available to work. Okay, here we go. The most important part is what kind of person would thrive in a position and working environment. Now it says here, I've worked with 2 companies to redo my resume and LinkedIn. I customized my resume for each job submission. I've sent personal messages to the hiring manager and recruiter. Now, I believe you're talking about an email when you're on LinkedIn or something like that. And you respond to every recruiter, but they don't respond to you.
Right. So I have one where I applied as like my dream job. And she replied back like a week later saying, we'd love to have you interview in a few weeks. And I was like, awesome. I'm so excited. Right. And then a few weeks passed and I follow up like, I would really like to introduce myself, if the job's still available. And then I see them repost. They keep reposting the job that I applied to. And I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how personally should I take this?
Oh my God. That's funny when you say that. Cross-trained mind, I agree, but these people are not the smartest. Jeez, man. Just suit, Marissa. That's funny. These 2 here are something here. What I also like is how you said this. I still don't know what the secret sauce is. I like that. Secret sauce is getting to interviews and offers because there's little to no feedback in what for you to improve. Now explain that, what you mean by that.
Well, I spent a lot of time researching and reading and looking at different tips. And of course you can, get whiplash looking at, one says this and one says the other. But I submit resumes. You never hear back. You don't know what it was on the resume. You have an interview. You don't hear back. or you get the standard rejection. You don't know what it is, and so you almost have to make up reasons in your minds. And I had one interview where I felt like this one answer I gave is what
Right.
that led me to not get the job, because I had to figure out myself. I don't really know, but I think it's that one. And then the next interview I had, I let that color it, because I was like, I can't be that way. And then that person had the problem with the way I answered. He didn't like that. So it's a self-defeating thing when you don't know what to do.
And I think what you're saying there too is, after your interview, even if you've gone through one or two, no, they won't give you an straight answer. You'll get that email.
Right.
But I still feel, I'm sorry, if you've been through the one interview, you've interviewed, that candidate goes home. We've all been there. There's not one person that's been on this page or anywhere on LinkedIn that hasn't been there before. Right. It's not a good feeling. It's exciting because you think you did okay. Mm-hmm. You really think you all right, why did I say this? Why didn't I say that?
Yeah.
That's where it eats you up. And then all of a sudden you don't hear nothing, and you'll send an email. And I understand people are busy. Again, this is not going after all recruiters. There are some really good recruiters.
There's some really great ones.
Top notch. I mean, I liked how they follow up all the way through the process, because it makes you as a candidate feel like, okay, why didn't I make it? I wish they would be more detailed, to give you like a reason. Well, we didn't feel this or you didn't feel that, but sometimes you get nothing.
I mean, any feedback is better than nothing, right. Especially when you don't have that closure. It's just a terrible feeling. And then people are left out in the cold for months and months because they apply and apply and apply. They don't know what is causing them to be held back, and then they can't, do the improvements that would help them get the job. It's almost like you're letting people down and you're not giving them a chance to get up.
That says it there. Well, let's see. The closest thing to secret sauce that I found is getting recommended by someone internal to the company. That is the biggest reasons why to expand your network. Matthew, that's correct.
Yeah.
Networking just from getting to know you, Kara, getting to know people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very powerful if you utilize it in the right way. And there's nothing wrong with sending a message. The worst thing I do is, listen, I'll send a message to anyone. I'll tag them. Listen, it's okay if I tag them on this. I'm going to tag them. What's the worst thing that they're going to do? They're even going to be like, wow, I like this. Or why are they tagging me? But it's a chance, right. It's an opportunity.
It is. I was somebody that never posted on social media until a month ago.
Right.
And I never have Facebook or anything.
Figure that after all these 40 pages.
Right. I just need to find something I was passionate about. And so many people have been amazing, like Matthew, reaching out and just being supportive, being a listening ear, offering tips.
Yes.
Saying, that is. So if you're not posting on LinkedIn and you're looking for a job, I encourage you to do that, just to expand people who want to get to know you and in the same boat.
And that's the truth. Marissa's full of them today. She's really good. Absolutely not. I will not lie on my resume just to get a position, because I'm going to fail at that job because I don't know how to do the job properly or the matter at all. I have one resume for both full-time consulting, and I will not change my resume to suit everybody else's motive. It's very frustrating dealing with recruiters who don't seem to understand the word of recruitment. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to add her to the show next time. We used to talk to each other every day. Wow. And she's right. I just feel being honest, going after being proactive, going after the recruiters, going back to them, call them.
Yeah.
And ask why. Sometimes I think they might like that better, because you can say, what did I do? But the next part I like is about setting up your interview times, and if the person's late, if the recruiter's late or not coming. Sometimes you've waited, you didn't get a response. And then you said, if you tell a candidate that you expect to interview them and something changes, you need to let them know. I'm sorry. I know. I understand. It's basic recruiting. And again, some great recruiters, they do it, but some don't really do anything. They don't care.
Yeah, they're not in the right field then. If they
It's
want to
hard.
be successful recruiters. Yeah, I feel like there should be a standard. People expect common courtesy, and it's not
You said it
happening.
right there. That's perfect. You said it. It's not common. It's common courtesy. The more exposure, the more connections, the more doors opens for us. It just takes that one person. That is exactly what I mean, because just like when we're done with this video and I send you the YouTube link, somebody, even when you're getting live interviewed, might see that all it takes is one person. That's it.
Yeah.
One. Let's see. My next ad here. Let's see. We all grown-ups here. We all know there's a high chance of rejection. If someone that avoids difficult conversations does not want to take the time, you're in the wrong place. And we've talked about that. That comes down to a decision-making from the recruiter.
Yeah.
If the person doesn't like to have that hard conversation, that's sometimes, like you said, and sometimes, let me back that up. Sometimes it's not all their fault, because if they're not trained properly, if you're a manager and a leader, you need to see how your recruiters are responding and what they're doing. If they're not provided the tools, if you're not provided them the correct tools and training that person, that can cause an issue.
Yeah, I think probably some of it is the recruiter's not getting feedback from the hiring manager, do you think?
Right.
And then they don't have anything to give to the candidate. So, I mean, you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you don't have that feedback loop, because the recruiter's got to know, what was wrong too.
And that's true. Here's my second favorite one that you wrote. We only have like 2 or 3 more. I've never had one yet. I had my first bot interview this week. This was my second round with the company, and I have not yet to have an actual conversation with someone. If you are wondering what it's like, it's pretty awful. Explain to me what. I've never heard of that one for a bot. Talk to me there.
It took me a second to figure out what was going on. So they had these assessments that you went through, and they would ask questions, and then it'd be like, oh, you have 3 retakes. And so I thought, oh, let me, start. And then I was like, oh, I want to retake it. And then it timed out on me. To the next screen, and I was like, oh my God. And it happened so many times. It was like, give you a question about as much time to read the question, and then you had 30 seconds or a minute to do the answer. And how can you have a well thought out answer, especially if you're asking me for an example of something? I want to think about it and think about how I relate to the position. So, spoiler alert, the bot did not like me. I have not heard that.
I've never heard of the bot for an interview to start. Everything else, I like the bots for like on web pages, because I always fill them out at nighttime knowing that they're going to contact me tomorrow. But I've never utilized and seen it for a job. I guess it probably gets something there, maybe a couple of keywords. I don't know if it works. All right, Marissa here is, she's something. Marissa, wow. All right, I tend to follow up on recruiters because they don't follow up with me. So I take initiative because I would like to know whether or not I got the job. This is why it's so frustrating when you have to deal with recruiters and are too scared to give you the bad news. But that's okay, because we are human beings. We can deal with the bad news. At least I can. I always tell recruiters to keep my resume for future. That's what we've discussed, is if you really reach out, like again, Kara, if I reached out to you and say, you know what, Karen, you didn't make it. I apologize. I don't like to have this conversation, but you know what?
Yeah.
Contact me once a month, or, I'm going to put you in that yes pile, and maybe something. You'll walk away saying, wow, I didn't get it. It's a hard conversation.
Well, the theme that keeps coming up is relationships and human connection, right? Networking, talking to the people, giving them feedback. It's not about matching words to one set of words to another set of words. It's about getting to know people and establishing relationships so that we can all know what to do better, or, what direction we should take now. We're all grown-ups. Marissa, she takes it. She can handle it.
Yeah, and some people have a hard time, like you put on here on some of your postings, how shy, if you're a shy person. And
Yeah.
there I go back to, like, I utilize the video resume screening and talent assessment. Why do I like it? I know people say, well, it could be biased because they don't like the way I look. They don't like this. Listen, as soon as you walk in that door for your interview, there's bias.
Right.
Whether the person likes you or not, they can determine real quick. So that being shy with the video resume screening, when you talk, that person might be like, wow, I didn't know that. Or they're very interested and they'll want to do an interview. Versus like when I say go back to being a shy person, that sometimes go against a candidate because they don't know how to react. They might be a hardest worker, one of the best ones,
right?
But you need to be able to reach back out to that recruiter and take that shyness and just, you know what, I'm gonna make that call.
Oh yeah, I've had to get out of my comfort zone a number of times.
It is.
You have to.
Ooh, absolutely. Recruiters should be held accountable, but their managers should be held at a higher standard because they are responsible for the recruiters. Accountable is critical, and sadly, many do not take accountability for the actions thereof. And again, that's the truth there. Boy, I feel like I'm talking to Marissa here. I'm like, she's doing great. And thank you, Matt, for all this. The next one, let's see. You posted your job. That was your dream job. You got to talk about this. Your dream job and how it worked, what you experienced through it.
Yeah. So I should, you imagine yourself in the position, and then you don't hear anything back. You don't know what went wrong. You don't even know if it was a real job or not. Were they just posting it for compliance reasons? And it's a really hard. It takes a toll on people for months and months that are going through this, and I really feel for them to just go on this roller coaster.
You hit it right there, and that's where I got it from here is the roller coaster. It's when people are on the opposite side seeking a job, it's very stressful. It's stressful on them. It goes out stressful to their family just as much. So your significant other, but like, how'd you make out? Well, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, I've had 2-3 interviews. I don't know. And we talked about prior to the show is if you're getting into that second, third, there is no, and I'm going to say again, no reason. No one should have to go through that without a reason. That's just so like you didn't even, they don't care.
Do you think that, like Marissa said, recruiters are afraid of the conversation, or they think that the candidate's going to start arguing or something like that?
They're afraid.
I don't think people do.
No, they're very nervous about it. In all my experience, again, respectively, all my experiences, we would tell the recruiters, reach out. I didn't want to do it sometimes. They made it up when I did a video resume. I was like, oh, man, they're going to be upset. Let me call them. I had to call them. I wouldn't do it on a Friday because it would ruin their weekend. So I'd do it on a Monday. I did. I would do it on a Monday because I don't want to call somebody that was really looking forward to the job. And it's a hard pill to swallow, And let's see, we have a couple people here that said something. Back to Matthew, being an introvert makes things very difficult. You say that word because I have no clue what it is. Say that word.
Ageism?
Oh, ageism. Okay, I had to miss. Yeah. All right. It's definitely a thing, especially in the tech field. There are barriers that people put up, but there are always ways around them. I get what he's saying there. I'm trying to figure out how he's going to get around them, but do you piece that together?
I'm interested to know if because it's again, people just looking at the surface.
Yes.
Not trying to build a relationship, understand what motivates them, how they could be an awesome rock star at the job when you're just looking at a number or a few words.
Oh, that's the same thing. What's this? We got another one here. Okay. Listen, when companies and recruiters tell you that they cannot respond to every application, it reminds me of Newman from Seinfeld. He was a mailman who always seemed to have a mental breakdown because the mail is always coming. Every day there was more. You are the human capital business, and if you don't want to take the time to interact with people who express interest in your company, you are in the wrong business. Again, listen, that sums it up about everything we've been talking about today that you have a passion for.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, you think about what kind of skill set makes a great recruiter, and ignoring people should not be on that list.
No, and that's not. Okay, we got one more thing here. Let's go through these comments. Let's see. I'm writing a book, David and Kara. Co-writing. Marissa, definitely. All right, that's a definitely. And she says, "I'm sorry," but Marissa, you can ask as many questions. The questions that she asks is real. This show here, again, is not about saying about recruiters are bad people, or it's just an experience to learn. Maybe somebody's taken something from this. Maybe a recruiter's watching this, or a manager saying, "Wow, what's the process we're doing? What are we doing? Are we following up?" You know, and you can do that. They need to follow up. This one here, Matthew, Melissa, don't feel sorry for asking questions or making comments. That's the point of these talks. They're a lot more fun when they interact with us and we can interact with each other. And he's correct. Two more. You said this time when the number of unemployed is at one of the highest in U.S. history due to a pandemic. When researching for a post, I saw one CEO describing a passive candidates as the best people and most scalable way to finding talent. And you said you strongly disagreed.
Yeah. It just boggles my mind because passive candidates, like, see how, you want something you can't have, and they're very attractive, but they're also currently have a job, not looking for a job. You've got to woo them. You've got to pay them more. You've got to give them challenges that they don't have in their current company, maybe give them a promotion from where they are. And yet you have so many people that were just recently in that passive person's position that you could get much more easily, not spend so much time, get people on seats and butts and chairs much more quickly, and people that are going to be loyal and grateful and hardworking. They're not going to be the people that, oh, well, this seemed more interesting, so I went over here. They'd be like, I want to work and I want to do a great job, and I'm ready to work.
It is. And that's where I really believe in as a recruiter is you need to coach the candidate, but you also need to educate the client. And whenever I would send a candidate to a client and they said, no, we're not really, I would always push back a little and say, well, why not? It's your job to sell the candidate to the client. Listen, they're going to look at that and say, well, they don't have this. You need to come back and say what we just said. Well, they can learn that. That's really nothing.
Right. You
feel they're a good fit, sell it to the client. That's what part of your job is.
Yeah, I think, not everybody has those skills, like you said, to really bridge that gap between where the candidate is at. And it's much easier to be like, they're 100% match. And then you don't get any pushback, but that's not the reality for so many people. Then that you're going to miss out on the 80% match that would have excelled.
No, and I agree with you that it's great to go after passive. I get it. I really do.
Yeah.
But again, the time it takes, that's a long time to find those candidates. Now I can see in maybe IT positions, because IT, 1% is only unemployed. 1%. There's some fields that there's nobody. So that's all you have to do is you have to go after the passive candidates, because IT, nursing, medical. Listen, if you're unemployed because of a nurse, something's wrong. Or IT person, because they're in such high demand that you have to. But if there's somewhat of a little bit of a gap, you can find them. Right. They're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many industries that have been down for the last year or so. It's plenty of amazing people out there. All you need to go is go on LinkedIn and engage with them. And some of them are commenting on this show and really showing that how much they can do. And you're passing them over. And I think that's a shame.
And I think today, Kara, you brought a lot of things up that's really important for people here. I want to read one more from Marissa.
Okay.
I'm a grown up and I can deal with good news or bad news. The issue I have is experienced many times is fearfulness, but that is their job. I feel for recruiters because they are scared of the candidate or their manager, but it's their jobs. If they can't follow up with candidate, then it's not the right job for them. I'm pretty bold, but very respectful, understanding, and don't point the finger. And again, that's reality.
Right. I mean, any kind of job, there's the downsides and the uncomfortable situations and things that you don't love to do, but you balance it out with the great things. Like what I think I heard you on a show the other day talking about, when you call them with the great news,
Right. Oh,
and you make that connection. That's your, you balance it out. You have the good things and the bad things, and you have to embrace all of it. Otherwise, you're not doing your entire job.
It is. And, we got one more comment here. Then we're going to give you a 30 or 1 minute exit here, kind of an elevator speech. Recruiter, especially in-house, need to understand that they're in the front window that is currently exposed to potential client. Any reaction will be embedded into the candidate's memory, especially the negative ones. And just like the recruiters are evaluating candidates, there is reciprocal evaluation going on, and companies might lose quality talent to a negative experience during it. And that's where I said to you, we both agreed that if you were passed over 2 or 3 times for no reason, you're going to remember that. You're going to have that taste in your mouth saying, wow, you're going to tell your friends, they don't get back with you.
Exactly.
And
I was just thinking that, and then your family too, and they're going to say, don't ever, apply to them again, or, you don't deserve to be treated like that. So.
No. And Marissa's like, I love you guys. All right. On that note, I'm going to give my closing.
I love Marissa.
She rocks, boy. I'll tell you what, we're going to have her on the show with us. My ending would be, listen, the show today wasn't about going after recruiters, saying there's bad ones, we don't do this. If you listen to Kara, which she has a strong passion, it's about how to treat people, have that follow-up conversation. I always say reverse the roles. Yeah. That you're looking for that job. That feeling, that experience, the family, you're unemployed, you don't have the checks coming in, you got children, college, it could go on and on and on. But this show here today was to bring Kara on is because she has such a strong passion. Follow her, connect her on LinkedIn. Let me tell you, this is just part of her post. So the show today for me, I was excited because it was great to bring on somebody with a different perspective of the opposite side, because any recruiter out there that hasn't experienced this, they have. Listen, when I first started out, I sometimes didn't want to make that call. I was like, I hope they don't call me back. But I'm being honest, and that was when I first started out. And as you get older and you realize what you're changing someone's life. So please don't take anything we said here today negative. It was just about a training and bringing things of awareness. So, Kara, if you had to sum yours up here in a minute, what would you tell people? And again, thank you. And for everybody on here, Matthew, Marissa, Nixon. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for everyone that joined and all the comments. It's been amazing, much more beyond my expectations. So I really appreciate it. I'm a process improvement nerd, and whenever you're talking about how to make things better, it's always going to be a little uncomfortable because you're talking what's not working. But we're only trying to, like you said, put a positive spin on it. How can we make it better? And what my passion is I don't want to see all these people left behind because the system is not built for them. It's not working for them. I want people to realize that, it doesn't have to match exactly word for word. Think about what kind of person you want and what kind of person the candidate is. And I think you'll have great success.
You will. And Kara, we're going to have you on again. We're going to do a show once a week or something. We're going to talk about it. And I know you're passionate again. So I want to thank you. Houston, Texas. Yes. All right. One last question. Dallas Cowboys or Texas Titans, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. What is it? Texas.
Well, I grew up in Dallas, actually. So, and then I was a kid when they had their Super Bowl run, so I'll never forget that. But
You'll say
yeah.
the Cowboys. The
Yeah.
Cowboys. All right.
But don't hate on me for it. Don't hate.
No, right? All right, everybody. Thanks so much. And again, appreciate you being here. And we will talk to you soon. But I'm going to take you out on this. And Kara, I'll be
Okay.
talking to you after this video.
Okay.